Hello, happy Independence Day. Today is the day we got freedom from the colonial powers. Today is the day we found out the real meaning of freedom. And might I add, my co-host Chef Amrita Raichand is looking absolutely lovely and resplendent. Happy Independence Day.
Happy Independence Day to you too. It's so nice to see you in a kurta. I love wearing Indian clothes, I have to tell you, Rishi. Just feels so Indian.
It feels so Indian. You're absolutely right. I mean, I would do rock t-shirts and a shirt over it any day, but today I had to do a kurta. So listen, on the eve of our independence, I'm reminded of a very special award, a very special commendation that happened in your life as part of our 75th anniversary of Indian independence. And I know you're normally reticent to talk about this, but you must allow me, at least today, because it's Independence Day. So please tell us about that honor that was conferred upon you.
Yes, Rishi, last year was truly special, very humbling recognition. I was awarded with the title of Cultural Brand Ambassador by the Government of India for my contribution to the culinary world.
Yay!
No, truly, it was something that really made me feel special. But you know, Rishi, with such recognitions also come great responsibilities. And now that you've brought this up in Beyond the Plate, which very often goes beyond the kitchen, today I would like to discuss about the rich history of Indian food and its influence the world over.
You know, that's lovely because if you look at India, even despite being colonized for centuries, we've always managed to retain our Indianness through it all. And much as we say that the Dutch ruled over Pondicherry, much as we say that the Portuguese ruled over Goa and that the British ruled over a large part of the Indian subcontinent, the impact of colonialization on Indian cuisine was there, but you are of the opinion that there was also a reverse effect. We actually influenced the food of the colonists, which means, you know, the Dutch, the Portuguese, the English. I think that's fascinating. Talk about that today.
Yes, Rishi. In fact, for the uninitiated, many dishes that traveled from India to other countries were, and in fact still are, their comfort food. Let's start with a very popular British dish and probably the greatest gift from the Anglo-Indian entanglement to the breakfast tables of Britain today. Okay, Kejuri. Have you heard of this?
Never.
Really? It's a very popular rice and smoked fish dish that originated in colonial India and started its life, as you won't believe it, as our very own khichdi, which is 1,000 years old, a mix of rice and dal with classic Indian herbs, coriander, cardamom. We all know how we love our khichdi. Now, when the British arrived, they found this dish very nursery-like, very comforting, like the way we do, very soothing, and started having it as a breakfast dish, initially just as it was, and then they substituted it with fish. Next, they added eggs, then a nice topping of fried onions and coriander, as we Indians love using that, right? Now, this dish was taken back to Britain, Rishi, and renamed as Kejuri, with smoked haddock being the choice of fish there and parsley used for garnish instead of coriander. The marriage of smoked fish, eggs, and rice was made in heaven.
I'm gonna interrupt you here, you know. Surprisingly, and I was reminded of this last week because I did a talk with the Gyanpith award-winning Padma Shri Amitav Ghosh at the Royal Opera House.
Oh.
And the wonderful Firoza Godrej had us for dinner at the Yacht Club and they served mulgatawny soup.
Yes.
And mulgatawny soup is supposed to be a British delicacy. It's actually mulgatanni.
Yes.
In Tamil Nadu, mulgatanni means spicy hot water.
Absolutely. And
I'm like, you're saying mulgatawny soup.
Yes.
It's actually spicy hot water.
They always mess around with all the pronunciations, right? But they come up with great names. You have to give it to them.
There are no two ways about
Yes,
that.
so that's another one which actually the British adapted from India. So yeah, so like I was saying, Kejuri is now really found on breakfast buffets of every posh Victorian home. So that's really the great influence that even our food had on our colonizers. Now, should we move on to French colonization? You were talking about the Dutch, but the Dutch actually handed it over to the French. They handed over Pondicherry to the French. And guess what happened there? Now over there, they found the commonly used curry powder extremely spicy for their palate. So an offshoot was created and a mildly spiced version of the same was invented to help the French enjoy the local dishes. Now, the French were highly inspired by this ready-to-use blend of spices. They took it back with them and made it their own by adding, shallots and some of their own herbs, thyme, etc. And that's how Vadavan, the South Indian curry powder, found its French cousin, Vedouvan. Which literally means sun-dried spices in French, is used extensively by French chefs for marinades and stews. You've heard of duck vedouin? It's a very, very
yes, that
popular
I have
dish.
heard. I've never had it. But what I also know about our colonial past is that it still has a huge remnant in Goa. Because each time Portugal plays football, the Portuguese football team, or Cristiano Ronaldo is playing anywhere on the planet, the average Goan goes out on a limb to support him, or support the entire Portuguese team vociferously,
Yes.
whether it's at the Euros or the World Cup. So that part of Portugal, Goa can never get over. So let's talk about Goan influence on Portuguese cuisine.
Yeah, that has also been massive. I'm going to particularly talk about canja de galinha. Have you heard of this?
Nope.
Okay, it's a very staple Portuguese chicken and rice soup, just like our kanji. You've heard of kanji?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yes, it's a fermented rice and water dish and has been known to cure, cure many, many gut issues. Now, apparently, it was mentioned in 1563 by Garcia de Horta, a famous Portuguese physician and author, who describes how his Indian maid, Antonia, saved his life by feeding him kanji, a porridge made from boiled rice with pepper, cumin, and herbs when he was gravely ill. Now, canja evolved and spread through several former Portuguese colonies where it is eaten till today. The mixture of water and rice from India may have definitely given birth to this delicious tradition, Rishi. But of course, with how all Europeans love to add chicken and fish to everything, the Portuguese too made this their own by adding chicken and, making it more flavorful to their palate with some other spices, etc.
So, these are unmistakable aspects of how we left our imprint on our colonizers. But are there still aspects of British cooking or French cooking or Portuguese cooking or techniques that we use in our food today?
Yes, we cannot take away from the fact that, colonization also brought in a lot to us. Today, Indian food is known world over, but we cannot ignore the fact that so many staple ingredients like potatoes, tomatoes, chilies, carrots, cauliflower, there are a lot of things that were actually their gift to us. In fact, even a lot of cooking techniques like, basting, roasting, baking, all of these were techniques which were actually imparted to us by them. And today, we are known all over the world. These have definitely been factors that have helped us to get there.
Lovely. Please ask questions. The Ask Amrita section comes up at the end of the show. 9833 943 943 9833 943 943. Questions on nutrition, questions on her, questions on food, questions on what she just talked about, which is our influence on colonial food. Anything. Just pop your name along with the question. We're happy to answer that. Onward ho now to the recipe of the week. And what is the recipe of the week? For those of you who prefer your recipe in video form, go to the Radio 1 India Instagram handle at 94.3 Radio 1 India or at Amrita Raichand, and you will see a wonderfully filmed recipe video from Amrita's studio kitchen. But here, of course, is the audio form on the radio.
All right, so Rishi, I want to add here that, there's been a blend of indigenous traditions and foreign influences which have really helped Indian food, become popular through the globe. And as a chef, I feel honored to be able to advocate the same and help the world understand the nuances of Indian cooking, which, let me add, are not tough or tedious. Now, the reason I'm talking about this is, very often we talk about fusion foods. We all know about chicken tikka masala and the regular dal, the black dal. And I feel that people all over the world either will go to a restaurant to eat Indian food or they will go to an Indian's home. They will not think about cooking Indian food in their own homes. And that is something that I really want to change. If you ask me today, what is my goal in life? It is to try and make Indian cooking popular all over the world. So today's recipe of the day is inspired by that. I'm again mixing some cultures. I'm going to make our very desi pumpkin, which, by the way, is our national vegetable. Did you know that?
I didn't.
Yes, it is, and it's available throughout India, and it does not need any unique soil conditions to grow. And it's such a, humble, we call it kaddu in India, bhopla. It's such a humble vegetable, so nutritious, so healthy, but it's not got its due. So today, I'm here to give it that.
And it's fantastic. It's used in all parts of the country. Like we make a sambar with kaddu,
Yes.
which is a pumpkin sambar. I know that in pujas, because my wife is North Indian, the puja food is puri with dry kaddu.
Yes.
That's like a puja ingredient.
Yes.
So what is it?
So what I'm doing is, I'm also doing a version of dry kaddu, but I'm going to present it on a French baguette slice. How does
Nice.
that sound?
Nice.
Yes. So we're going to make this kaddu very simply. We're going to cut the pumpkin into small pieces. We're going to add some oil to a pan, heat it, add some mustard seeds, some methi to just cut the sweetness of the pumpkin, some jeera, some curry leaves, and we're going to just, allow the tadka to kind of get even more flavorful. Then we throw in some onions, some green chilies, some tomatoes, and then we add this kaddu to the pan, the pumpkin to the pan. We're going to cook it out for a little while. In fact, we want to sear it on high heat so it gets caramelized, after which we add some salt, little haldi, which is turmeric powder, and red chili powder. And then we cook it till it's soft. We add a bit of coriander, and then we cool it a little. We take the French baguette, slice it, add a little butter, grill it, and then top this kaddu ki sabzi on top of it. And garnish it a little more with some coriander, and I promise you, it is yum-licious.
Sounds yummy. So like I said, you've got it. Try it out. Let us know on Ask Amrita, the section on 9833943943. If you've tried it out at home, how you enjoyed it along with your family and your friends. Speaking of which, question of the week. This is Karan. Thank you for writing in to our WhatsApp line, Karan. What made you decide to become a chef, Amrita? And did you receive any advice in the beginning of your career that stuck with you throughout?
Oh, that's a nice question, Karan, and a good day to answer that. Well, believe it or not, I started cooking when I was 8 years old.
Wow.
And all my cooking was learned from my very fabulous cook, Mum, who luckily I have inherited the genes from. She was a working mum, so, those days we didn't have staff. So while she used to cook, I used to be sitting in the kitchen and just seeing the way she does it. And she used to keep giving me little tips here and there. And at 8, I made an entire meal of, dal, chawal, bindi, chutney, and all of that. And my mom was just flabbergasted. But having said that, somehow in those days, we were so typical in the way of seeing how our career is going to go. So I went on to do marketing management, but never thought of going to a culinary school. When my son was born and I started weaning him, I realized the importance of feeding healthy food to your child without he or she spitting it back on your face. The ego of a mother, you cannot fight. You want your child to love everything. Yep. And that's all those experiments actually led me to realizing that this is my calling. I wanted to learn cooking professionally, for which I went to Singapore and I did an advanced culinary course. Then I came back, I worked with Intercontinental Hotel, understood what happens in a commercial kitchen. But mind you, I was not still ever interested in, working in a restaurant or a hotel, because for me, being with my child and being at home was very important. So I took the other way out. I decided I'm going to become a chef. It'll be on a professional level. I will take the responsibility of teaching mostly parents those days how to make healthy and yet exciting food for children. And that's how my culinary journey started. And now, like I mentioned earlier, I've moved a little beyond just cooking for kids. Mere Ghar Ka Khana is a very popular property on my Instagram where I do simple Indian food for people. And we all realized during COVID how important it is to know how to cook. It's a basic survival skill and everybody needs to know that. And Indian cooking, nothing beats that.
And the other part of Karan's question, a piece of advice that you've carried to the day.
Yes, to answer that question, I'll go back to my mother, where she taught me to follow my instinct. She always said one thing, that cooking is made with instinct and love. Everything else follows. If you have these two basics, you have to create beautiful
Lovely.
food.
Love and instinct. You're going to hang on to that. Chef Amrita Raichand's YouTube channel is called Chef and Beyond. Go check it out. We are Radio 1 International. Check us out on YouTube. Beyond the Plate with her and me comes to you every Monday 8:15 to 9 a.m. And if you're looking for the video episode, 2 days later, Wednesday on the Radio 1 International YouTube channel. The recipe of the week is on Instagram at Amrita Raichand and at 94.3 Radio 1 India. Happy Independence Day, everybody who's listening, watching, and to you, Amrita.
Thank you to you too. Wish you all a very, very happy Independence Day from me too.
See you next time.
94.3 Radio 1.